Relationships more than ever are being challenged during coronavirus lockdown. Being cooped inside with someone can be challenging. Joining me today to talk about this and give us some tips on what to do, what not to do to survive this is Dr. Mark Hillman, who is a psychotherapist. He specializes in marriage and he's an author and speaker. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh, thank you for having me, Paula. It's always a pleasure.
I was just going to say that. It's always a pleasure. And I have something to show you. I still have your book. My therapist is making me nuts. I got that from you, and I'm going to read the quote if you don't mind. You said, Paula, what lies behind us and what lies before us are small matters to what lies within us. I love this quote, and I love your book, and I would totally recommend this book to anyone, especially right now, because a lot of my topics have been related to what's on page 73, fear.
Yeah.
Everybody is freaking out today, and I love that in this book you have so many exercises, being proactive, reactive. So I would totally recommend your book, and I love it because it's, you know, it's making me nuts, because when you read some of this stuff, it's like, what? And I complimented you earlier saying that you remind me of Steve Harvey, and you do. You're so cool.
Well,
So
you know,
I really appreciate you joining me today.
I'm thrilled, and thank you for, the book, showing it on the program. And also, if people want to get the book, they could just go to my website and contact me directly, and we'll go from there. So
Perfect.
Thank you.
So let's talk about relationships today. And we have 4 scenarios, because I've been going through social media as the whole entire world. We're in lockdown. We have nothing better to do now. And it's kind of entertaining to go through the feed. And I've narrowed this down into 4 different scenarios that I would like to talk to you and get some tips on this. And scenario number 1, people are cracking jokes saying, oh my God, everybody's in lockdown. There are going to be so many babies out there. And I thought, okay, well, that's a happy ending for everyone. They're either going to call them Corona or COVID. I think some people actually already started doing that. So we don't really need to talk about that one. That's a no-brainer. But let's talk scenario number 2. Couples that couldn't stand each other before and were either planning to go through a divorce or were in the middle of a divorce. And now they're in lockdown. So they're living with each other 24/7. What are some tips for people in this scenario? What can they do without wanting to kill each other?
Well, I think the first thing is that, this is a worldwide pandemic. And so it's not just an individual relationship issue. Now, I've always maintained that when someone steps outside of marriage, whatever it may be, whether it's an affair, whether it's getting addicted to gambling or narcotics, something as a diversion, that is always a symptom. That's not the cause. And so only as we step back really and examine what changed over the course of time. You and I got married, we were happily in love, everything was wonderful. But then over the course of time, our values started changing. Whether you became more successful than me and I got resentful and I started acting out, or I started, not coming home Tuesdays and Saturdays, I'm playing golf, never helping with the children. And so, the animosity. And so people, the one thing I've always said about, relationships and marriage counseling, people are not honest.
Right.
People will give you fluff. I hate her. I hate him. He's a dirty, rotten, no good Nick. She does this. She nags. But you know what? When you really step back, and that's what this lockdown has really forced us to address. What the heck are you doing now in your life? Where are you going? Now, some people should get divorced. That's a reality, right? They're just changed way too much. There's too much stuff that has gone on. But people who are not committed to the relationship, and that's the difference between love and loyalty. Love fades.
So what's your tip for them in this situation, because now they're together?
Well, either they're going to talk to each other and work and understand it and address it, or not. But a lot of that creative avoidance, dealing with it, look, just because we're in lockdown doesn't mean you need to be joined at the hip. Someone cooks, someone cleans, someone does laundry, you do your own laundry. I'm not dealing with you sleeping in separate bedrooms. You can deal all of that. And that doesn't preclude us from going out and walking and dealing with stuff. But the reality is, people have, as you mentioned earlier, that fear, false evidence appearing real. False evidence appearing real. So what is the conflict? What is the challenges in the relationship? What are the tips? Maybe sitting down and being an adult and having an adult to adult conversation. But people don't want to do that. They're more interested in blame. So what you do, you separate. You sleep in separate bedrooms. So someone sleeps upstairs, someone sleeps downstairs. That's a million different ways. Here comes the twist, though. What happens if you have children?
Right.
Now, because kids are kinesthetic. They're all feeling oriented. So when mom and dad are having a conflict, when husband and wife are having a conflict, the role that they embrace is mom and dad. That filters down to the kids. Oh no, we're okay, but they're feeling oriented. And now you're asking your children to deny the feelings that they have because mom and dad are selling them a smokescreen and a story. Separate, deal with it, get through it for the sake of the children, and then when this finally lockdown ceases, then move on with your life.
Dr. Hillman, let's talk about scenario number 3 now. Happily married couples. They're now spending 24/7 and they're getting on each other's nerves and they're nagging and nagging and nagging. You can't do the laundry right. You can't do the dishes right, blah, 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 blah. And I actually saw this woman who made a song and posted it on social media. I love him, but I don't like living with him. What are some tips for people like this in this scenario who are in love with each other? Does this mean that they don't really know each other and they're finding this out now?
Well, probably not, in my opinion. We all have idiosyncrasies. Some people blow their nose a certain way. Some people do the dishes a certain way. Some people do the laundry, whether they don't separate the whites from the darks, they just throw everything together. And you see how you're giggling?
OCD?
But you see, and then once we start with that critical parent or that control, don't tell me how to run my life. If I want to throw my laundry in all together, my gym clothes with my shirts or whatever, leave me alone. Who died and made you boss? Go back to the original situation. You get married, all of a sudden you as the female become responsible for, sending the birthday cards to my family, to send the anniversary cards. How does that get in terms of role stereotypes? So, yeah, I love him, but I can't live with him. Well, you've lived with him for how many years? 1, 6 months, 8 months? You know what? Then you didn't know the person to begin with. And at what point you just finally say, I accept you for who you are. And if you have something, say what you mean what you say, but you don't have to be mean.
The Times Union yesterday had a post that was related to this scenario. And the couple wanted to have some togetherness time. So they actually ended up sending the children to their parents' house, who are people who are in the high risk category. And of course, the public just tore them apart. What advice do you have for people like that in that situation who are doing that and don't think they can be creative in their own household, despite the fact that, yeah, you do have the kids now and everybody's in the house at the same time?
How about you be creative? Remember when you were 16, 18 years old and you go for a ride in a car and you'd find a parking lot and you do a quickie? Come on, we're adults here. And when we get involved with this hoity-toity, oh my God, there are ways. If you want to have relations, lock your door. Do it at night. Do it in the middle of the night. Set the alarm, whatever it may be. But this idea that, oh my God, the children will find out we're having physical relations. You know what? The reason you have kids is because you had physical relations. And we're sexual human beings. So this idea of, oh, we want some private time, close your door. Put the kids down, rent a movie, get rid of the kids, and tell them, you know what? You have your time, we have our time. It's not always about sex. In sex therapy, there's something called Sense8 Focus. And it has nothing to do with sex.
Sense8 Focus.
Sense8 Focus.
Okay.
I give you a massage for a half hour. Light some candles, we have a glass of wine, and I'm not allowed to touch your breasts or I'm not allowed to go near your genitals. And then you turn over and you give me a half-hour massage. It has to do with physical intimacy and touch. You cannot have relations. Oh, forget Dr. Hillman, he won't know anyway. It's the idea of building intimate trust. And that is a lot of the difficulties many times in in relationships to begin with, and especially over a long period of time. Look, you get married, you have crazy monkey sex all the time in every room, and it's but over a period of time, you and I both know it matures, it changes.
Right.
So it's not, 2, 3 times a day. Oh my God, where'd you come from? It matures and it grows into a deeper affection and a deeper love, but also a level of acceptance of each other.
Actually, our interview 10 years ago was about that. Sex after, or married, sex life after children. That's what it was
Yep.
called. That was a great interview. Let's talk about scenario number 4. And this is for the single people out there. Everyone's lonely because everyone is in lockdown. They're bored out of their minds. They're going through social media. They have nothing better to do. They're drinking. Is this really an appropriate time to ask someone out? Let's
Well,
talk about do's and don'ts.
well, I think we have to go back in terms of the social media, like you and I are on Zoom right now. Getting to know each other, having a date, really getting to know each other. But I think what happens in crisis situations, whether it's the lockdown, whether it's car accident, whether it's burn victims, you become so much more emotionally vulnerable during this time. So it's not about talking dirty and hey, baby, oh, baby, that kind of, wild crap that used to go on in the 80s in the bars and stuff like that. Well, it's what it was. You know what? We become more intimate. We get to know each other over a different type of, situation and a different environment. It's not going to a bar and having a cocktail. It's not meeting for coffee, just lunch, right?
Right.
It's, we're talking about what are you doing, what movies, what books are you reading. So there's a different level of getting to know each other. So yeah, if I'm attracted to you and you're attracted to me, hey, when this is all said and done, hey, maybe we can get together and really get to know each other, go for a walk in the park. But that, smooth talking, that people don't appreciate that. It's cute and it's
It's
funny.
annoying, right?
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, that's so, yeah, you can ask somebody out. It's just a different type of date where you get to know each other on a more intimate, in my opinion, level because you're vulnerable. We're all in the same situation.
Dr. Hillman, anything else you would like to add that we did not talk about?
Yeah, you know what? We're all going to come out of this and we're going to be, the Corona 15 pound, and we're all going to be alcoholics. And that's okay.
That's not okay.
Well, I say it tongue in cheek,
I know,
but
I know.
again, come on, the interview, Paula, when we did our interview 10 years ago,
Yep.
we're real people, and
Yeah.
enough with this hoity-toity, I'm the doctor, so da-da-da-da-da. Come on, we're real people. We're all going through this together, and you get up in the morning, you do your morning routine, you come down, you have coffee, you get into a pair of sweatpants, everything is great. At 6 o'clock at night, you change from your morning sweatpants to your evening sweatpants. I mean, who are we kidding here?
I thought you were going to say you get up in the morning and you get a glass of wine. I was going to say, no, don't do that.
I'm crazy. I'm not stupid. But you see, this laughter also is the best medicine.
Right.
All the jokes about, with coronavirus, now you have Clorox, Cure pods, and, infecting yourself, with disinfectant or injecting you, all the funny jokes that are going around. You can't lose your sense of humor.
Right. And don't take everything so serious.
Oh my God,
Right.
and that's many times what we do.
Right.
And whatever life circumstances are, it's not trespassing to go beyond your own boundaries.
Right. Dr. Hillman, thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, it's always a pleasure to talk with you, Paula. It really is.
Thank you. And thank you for joining me for this interview. Be safe and stay home.